Okay, we should be live. Welcome back to the High Impact Flicks channel. Let me just make sure. Let's see. Error. There was an error. Let me see. I don't even know if I'm live. It says an error occurred. Try back later. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I can't hear myself or see myself. Let me refresh the page here. That sucks. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me? I've been having internet issues like crazy. Let me know if you guys can. Oh, here we go. I am live. Okay, good. Hey, thanks for coming back, guys. It's been a while since I've done a live stream on this channel, but I felt like it was necessary to do because do something is trending on Twitter. And of course, this gets rid of all rationality, logic, and reason and completely puts all its weight on emotion. And because we're emotional creatures, and this is an emotional thing, anytime a child dies or an innocent adult or whoever, anytime somebody dies, it's a tragic thing. So there are emotions involved, but you have to rein in the emotions and operate on logic. And I know that doing videos like this, it's like, it's a big yawn. I know, we already know this. Let me just make it clear. Guns don't kill people. And guns don't save people. You know, I've heard people go, well, how about the lives that guns have saved guys, guns don't save anybody. Guns don't take life. Guns don't secure life. Guns don't protect life. Human beings do. Guns are just tools. It's like saying hammers build houses. Nail guns build houses. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen it myself. Nail guns and hammers build houses. Really, they just marched themselves onto the construction site and they just started pounding away. Nails don't build houses. Hammers don't build houses. They're just tools. They're pieces of things that you put into a human's hand where you accomplish a task. It just so happens that guns being a tool can be used for good to preserve life or for bad to take life. And now we've got a whole bunch of people saying we need to initiate additional common sense. They always put common sense gun laws, like the common sense makes any big difference. What does a gun law do? What is a gun law for? Who is a gun law aimed at? Because it's not gun control. We're not talking about gun control here. We are talking about full-blown people control. And who are the people they want to control? The people who end up being law abiders. Well, those law abiders are the ones who are going to get victimized because those are the ones who are going to obey the laws. But guess what happens to the law abider? He becomes victimized because the criminal becomes empowered. How does the criminal become empowered? Because politicians put out laws that criminals disregard, but law abiders don't. That's why when you go into a post office, the only people that are going to be armed are law enforcement or criminals or people who don't obey laws, because there are people who don't obey laws that aren't criminals. All of the law abiders are going to go, oh my gosh, there's a sign on the door. I shouldn't bring my personal protection device in here. So anytime you're in a post office or an airport, who's going to be armed? The criminals and the police department for the most part. But then I repeat myself because usually the police department are the criminal cartels and criminal organizations who are taking away the rights of everybody else. So we've got do something trending in Nashville trending because this horrible thing that just happened. And this is a very unique incident. It wasn't a male that took life. It was a female. They initially said it was a teenager. We now know, well, at least that's what's being reported, is that it's a 28-year-old woman who took the life of 3 children, 3 adults, and herself. And we'll listen to some of this. And then I want to talk about some of the issues surrounding gun control and what it really means when you boil down gun control laws. What do they really accomplish? And how is what they accomplished?
We know at this point that this shooter is a female. She appears to be in her teens, although her identification has not been confirmed.
This was early on. She's 28, they say.
At this juncture, we know that she was armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles. And
she went into a school with 2 rifles and a handgun. Why? I mean, Biden said, here's what Biden said. Biden said it was two AK-47s. Listen to this.
I just want to speak very briefly about the school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, Ben and I have been doing this our whole careers, it seems. And it's just, it's sick. You know, we're still gathering the facts of what happened and why. And we do know that as of now, there are a number of people who did not make it, including children. And we have to do more to protect our schools so they aren't turned into prisons. You know?
Prove it, E. Taylor Gates. Prove it was an FF. Prove it. Just go ahead and prove it. I'm not going to say if it was or could it have been. Of course it could have been. We know what it's going to be used for. Whether it was or wasn't, it doesn't matter if it was an FF or not. You know how they're going to use it. You know how generally liberals are going to respond to this. You know how the politicians who are just hell-bent on gun control laws are going to respond to this. Whether there's a false flag or not. You know, if it was, tell me, you know, offer the proof, offer the evidence. Where's your proof? Where's the beef? Where's the proof? It could be. Not going to put it past there, but you know what? I'm not going to start spouting stuff I don't know. I don't even know if what they're reporting on really happened. We don't know if people perished or not. We don't know if there was an incident. I don't know. I'm just going, everything that I'm looking is filtered through the internet. I could be completely being lied to right now. But if this did happen, what are they calling for? If they are calling for gun control legislation and gun control laws, what is it really that they're calling for, and how are they going to enforce these?
The shooter in this situation.
I'm controlled op 100%. Oh my goodness, I'm controlled op. I don't even know you. You don't even know me, but I don't know. It's amazing how people just spout nonsense. This person right here is controlled opposition. This guy's part of the Mossad. This guy over here is a Jesuit controlled opposition insider. All right. I've literally been against Roman Catholicism and exposing Roman Catholicism for almost 3 decades, and people are going to still call me a Jesuit controlled opposition.
And reportedly had 2 assault weapons and a pistol, 2 AK-47. So I call on Congress.
And just put that to bed. Brian's still selling $15. I never sold never sold a face mask. Never sold it. I totally regret that live stream where I was totally caught off guard going like, why is Spreadshirt putting ritualistic shame muzzles in my store? I've been over it before, but just in case you're new to my channel or you haven't been around for a long time, the masks were offered by Spreadshirt. I took great pains to go behind the paywall and take off the ritualistic shame muzzles. But what happens is when you go to Spreadshirt, you can get any article you want. You can get a cell phone case, a hat, a shirt, a mug, or a mask, whatever you want. And you can put any design on anything that you want in the store as a customer. And then people are going, you sold mask. You know what? It's a free market. If you want one, you can have it. If not, I tried to get it off, couldn't do it. So there you go. It's amazing how shallow people are, though. It's amazing. This right here. Show me something that I say that is not in accordance with truth. And if I say something that is not in accordance with truth, show me where I didn't go back and try to at least correct it if I'm aware of it. You know, there's a lot of things in our journey. We make a lot of mistakes. We say a lot of things that we probably shouldn't have said. We do our research and then we present it to the people. And then you find out there's a couple flaws in the research, a couple new developments that have taken place since the writing of that or since the production of that video. And then you go back and you go, you know what? This is all just a learning experience. You know, as long as when you go through life, your greatest teacher is your last mistake, you're going to do pretty well. So let's go back to Biden. I want to show you, it's important to see what he says here because whether it's a FF, because certain algorithms don't like that, whether it's an FF or this is a true organic thing that happened. If life was lost because some mentally deranged person who doesn't regard life went into a school or a post office or a bank or wherever or out on the street and started offing a whole bunch of people, that is not good. But that is the issue. That person who did that is the issue, not the tool that they used. Do you think if in America, and I know they've done this in the UK, there's literally something called knife violence and people marching against knife violence in the UK, or at least they did a couple years ago. But what if this person went into this school with a knife and offed 3 adults and 3 children? Would we be calling for knife control? Would we be calling for knife control legislation? Or would we be seeking assault knife bans? No, we wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't put it past us. They probably would, but it's not likely.
Including children. And we have to do more to protect our schools so they aren't turned into prisons. You know, the shooter in this situation.
Is that true, Tim Fuller? Is that true? Is she really not this color right here? Is she a different color than this right here? Wouldn't that be interesting? If it's not only not a male, it's a female, and the person wasn't my color. Sorry. Okay. all right. We got 30 seconds to get through this. I'm going to stop talking.
We have to do more to protect our schools so they aren't turned into prisons. You know, the shooter in this situation reportedly had 2 assault weapons and a pistol, 2 AK-47.
He said 2 AK-47 and then he stopped. So he's saying 2 AK-47s and a pistol.
So I call on Congress again to pass my assault weapons ban. It's about time that we begin to make some more progress, but there's more to learn. But I just wanted to send my concern and hearts out to so many parents out there.
Yeah, 3 and 3. People are pointing out 33. Let's go ahead and finish what this guy said. This is the early breaking news when it first came out. We're going to look at some recent stuff here.
The handgun. We are efforting now to identify her. She entered the school through a side entrance and traversed her way from the first floor to the second floor. We know
entered the school through a side entrance, so the school wasn't secure. But it's the gun's fault. The person was irrational, unreasonable, disregarded human life, but it's the gun's fault. That's how they're going to turn this into. That's why people are saying, here, you can see it right here. Look at this. Do something. Do something. 204,000 tweets is trending high on Twitter right now. And then what this guy said. This right here shows you that people are immersed in the cult of personality. They are cemented in their minds with cognitive dissonance to the point where they cannot see clearly to make logical, rational, reasonable decisions. It's all based on emotion, and it's based on political party and political affiliation, which is crazy to me.
I was told that when I had a kid, by everyone where I live, I was told this: when you have a kid, man, you'll get more conservative. I promise you that. Well, on day 9 of being a father, I wake up to the news that just up the road in Nashville, there was a school shooting.
What does a school shooting have anything to do with your political affiliation? What does it matter if you're liberal, a centrist, or conservative as far as a school shooting goes? What does that have to do with anything political? This is a person likely, because a high percentage of these school shooters are on some serious pharmaceutical medication. Why is that never taken into consideration? Why isn't there a ban against fully automatic pharmaceutical medication? Never is anything like that.
With that information and knowing which side of the aisle doesn't give a fuck about it.
Sorry for the language.
Will not even speak of any type of legislation that would halfway prevent this.
And talk about a one-sided way to look at it. Talk about a black and white. Is it really? Now, I don't put it past any politician not to give an F about anything except for the check that's going to come in with their lobbyists from the military-industrial complex or the prison-industrial complex or the drug war or any of these things. So that's, setting that aside, though, I doubt that people who have a beating heart don't give an F about what happened in this Nashville school. And it doesn't matter if there's an R by their name or a D by their name. What if the rationale for somebody who's pro-gun is, hey, You know, at the end of this, if something goes down, you're going to call a guy with a gun anyway. I hate to sound like the NRA, but it's right. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day. Who do you call? When there's a madman with a gun, who do you call? You call a good guy or somebody you perceive to be a good guy with a gun. What if the good guy showed up and he didn't have a gun? You'd be like, why don't you have your gun? Even the liberals would say, why did the police show up and they didn't have their guns? Why did the Uvalde police show up with guns and they didn't use them? When something bad goes down, even a liberal will call a guy with a gun, and they'd be extremely upset if they found when the good guy showed up, he didn't have the gun. So this isn't about guns for them. It's about, they don't want you to have the guns. They want the police to have the guns. They want the military to have the guns. They want the security detail for the politicians to have the guns, but they don't want you to have the guns. And then they use as justification somebody who got blown away in a school or a post office or a restaurant or out on the street to take the guns away from you. As if you were the one who committed the crime. That's how they're doing this, guys. They're making it sound like you're the one who committed the crime, because you're the one who ends up being criminalized when this gun ban goes through. What is a gun ban? It's saying to the human being who owns that gun that the government says you shouldn't have, it's saying if you have this after midnight on the 29th, you will be a criminal in the eyes of the state. And that's what they're calling for. They're calling for the criminality of innocent people who had nothing to do with the crime.
For a fact, as soon as they hear it, their first thing, but right before they do the thoughts and prayers, that's second. Right before they do the thoughts and prayers is to mention how important the Second Amendment is. Before thoughts and prayers, before. I'm supposed to look at all that and go, yeah, that's the fucking side that I want to be on.
Guess what? The Second Amendment should come before thoughts and prayers. Why is that? Why should the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, which shall not be infringed, by the way, shall not be infringed. Can't get more clear than those 4 words. In all 27 words in the Second Amendment, there's nothing mysterious about it. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. How do you keep that free state free? The well-regulated militia. Who are they regulated by? Are they regulated by the federal government? Highly doubtful, since the first, the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments are telling the government, it's putting the constraints on the government. It's saying that the people should not be regulated by the government. Government has no jurisdiction here. The people have the right to freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, right to keep and bear arms, right to maintain silence, right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures by the government. So the well-regulated just means well-controlled. In some of the documents, the Founding Father documents, it's personal self-control. It's that militia's own self-control. Well-regulated means well-controlled by themselves, not by the government. Well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state. Why? Because those militiamen are armed. How do you secure a free state? How do you keep the free state free? Those militiamen, armed militiamen. And then it says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed by who? Anybody. You don't have the right to infringe on somebody else's right to keep and bear arms. Which arms should they keep? The Second Amendment doesn't sanction AK-47s and AR-15s and 50 caliber weaponry. It doesn't limit it. So if it doesn't limit it and it doesn't say, then the sky is the limit. Howitzer tank, Black Hawk helicopter, Sikorsky helicopter, anything you can afford to buy in the free market, as long as you didn't use force, theft, or coercion to get it. If the government's got it, in other words, if the government's got it, you are free to have it. But our government says, oh, you can't have that. Why? Because they want to eliminate competition. They don't want somebody to be stronger than them. Because when they go out of bounds, which they often do, all the time, they all the time go out of bounds. When they walk and live out of bounds, trampling your rights, stealing your money, giving Ukraine $78.6 billion, running up the balance sheets on the Federal Reserve, wrecking and ruining your future posterity, making them Federal Reserve debt slaves for the rest of their life. They're not even born yet and they're debt slaves. When stuff like that happens, then guess what The well-regulated militia comes in so that they can secure a free state, secure and maintain or grab back a free state. That's what the Second Amendment's all about. So in essence, the Second Amendment is higher than thoughts and prayers. Why? Because the Second Amendment is what retains freedom. And freedom is life. If you don't have freedom, you don't have life. That's how important the Second Amendment is. And it's not even the Second, it's the concept of the Second Amendment. If the Second Amendment was stricken from the parchment and under the glass at the Smithsonian Institute or wherever it is right now, I can't remember what building it's in right now. It's in Washington, D.C. But if that building burned down and that highly secured document was burned up, you would still have a Second Amendment right, because the principle is you have the right to keep and bear arms and nobody's got a right to infringe on that right. It transcends parchment. It transcends the Bill of Rights. It transcends the Founding Fathers. It is a natural fact that you as a human being have a right to defend yourself against an approaching aggressor. Period. I mean, this has nothing to do with politics. This has everything to do with, you could call it natural law, but I mean, for lack of a better word, I'll just call it natural law.
Now that I have a child, no, if anything, I'm more far left today than I've ever been.
And that would mean you're more against your child than you've ever been, because the far left wants your child disarmed, disempowered, victimized. The far left, and really, not just the left, it's the right, it's left and right. It's a dog and pony show. It's a big smoke screen under the big top. It's a hall of mirrors. It's all illusory. But let's just take the left. The left wants his child and him to be disempowered and disarmed. The left wants him to register his firearms so he can be on a registry, so that the confiscation time comes, when it comes, not if it comes, his name will pop up and his child's name will pop up, and then the government will march their tanks into that neighborhood and go door to door, and they'll collect all those weapons that you registered because that's what you asked for, doofus.
And I apologize if I give way more of a fuck about school shootings than I do a drag show at a library. And every single one of you who feels the complete opposite, I'm sorry, but you're a fucking asshole.
What did he just do? He just alienated a whole swath of his fellow countrymen. But guess what? That's the plan of the powers that shouldn't be. They want this guy operating on this high level of emotion and just completely crushing under his feet any logic, any reason, any truth, so that he can polarize himself against the rest of the people. This has four, let's see, is this guy, Corey Ryan Forrester? He's got two, I don't even know who this guy is, comedian, author. Apparently he lives in Nashville because he said the shooting happened right down the street from him. He's got 218,000. These guys are always popular. 218,000 Twitter followers. So he just now polarized a whole bunch of people who are decidedly against hypersexualized men dressing as women and reading storybooks to kids in libraries. Which, I mean, just from my perspective, not using any kind of emotion, it seems logical to be against that kind of stuff, because it doesn't seem like there's anything good for children in that kind of situation.
You mean nothing to me. You are scum.
Wow.
I'm not saying that every conservative on earth is scum. I'm talking about the specific ones that look at a school shooting and then still later on that day want to act like cross-dressing is some huge issue when you won't say a...
Is that all Drag Queen Story Hour is? Is that all it is? That's all it is, Brian. It's just cross-dressing. That's all it is. There's way more damage that comes out of the barrel of a gun than out of a guy who's cross-dressing and reading a story to your child at the library. Really? You don't count mental damage as very serious, significant, long-term damage in the precious, tender mind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old? Kids are wet cement, guys. Whatever impression you put into that wet cement ends up staying. You want to really mess a kid up for the rest of their lives? Keep doing this kind of garbage. And then take their firearms away from them so that when they wake up and they're ready to fight, they don't have anything to fight with.
Fucking word about a kid with a gun, because that goes against your narrative that they help us out.
I have a narrative. You know what my narrative is? Truth over fiction. Armament over disarmament. Empowerment over disempowerment. This guy right here, I will fight for his right to keep and bear arms. And he will fight against your right to keep and bear arms. He will beg the government, please institute that assault weapons ban. That's going to keep me safe. That makes zero sense. How is a politician scribbling lines on a piece of paper going to keep your kids safe in school? As a matter of fact, school is a 15,000, if you're talking about public school, I think this was a private school because it was like a Lutheran or Presbyterian church school. So I think it was private, but private or public, you got some crazy nonsense going on in schools. You know who the best teacher is for your child? Get up right now and go look in the nearest mirror. It's you. Nobody's going to care about your child like you do. The mental, physical, and spiritual well-being of your child. Nobody's going to care about your child like you do. See, the problem with Americans right now is we've been pigeonholed into this lifestyle where we think we got to have 2 jobs or we ain't going to make it. You know what? You can cut back. You don't have to live in that big house. You don't have to be driving that nice car. You don't have to be going out to eat every night. You don't have to be going to Disney World. If your kids are really worth it to you, you'll make the sacrifices and you'll pull them out of the 15,000 hour public fool indoctrination system, because that's what it is. It's an indoctrination system. It's an indoctrination camp set up by the federal government under the Department of Education. And no precept, no edict, no ordinance, no regulation, no law written by politicians is going to make your child any safer, because we know that when they make laws, your child gets less safe. You're less safe. You have less money. You have less rights. The more laws they make, the less freedoms you have. The more laws they make, the less money you have to spend in your community at the end of the year. Laws don't make freedom. They don't carve out freedom. They don't stop criminals. They don't stop criminal activity. They don't stop drugs coming across the border. As a matter of fact, if anything, since the drug war, we have a worse problem with drugs because of the government, because of the CIA, the DEA, the ATF, the FBI. Government always makes things worse. It never makes things better, ever. Never better for freedom, never better for your financial perspective and prospectus and outlook, for your safety. Matter of fact, the biggest mass murder in human history is government, to the tune of over 250 to 300 million in the last century alone, excluding wars. Guys, did you hear me? 250 to 300 million people dead at the hands of governments that those people trusted, excluding wars. When you include wars, it's creeping up on 1 billion. There were 614 to 644,000 that died in the civil war alone. What was that? It was the War of Northern Aggression, because Lincoln had to have the tyrannical stranglehold over all the U.S. states and just couldn't let the Southerners secede. It wasn't about slavery. We know what Lincoln thought about slaves and the black folk and the superiority of the white folk. You know what he thought about that. They make statues, the great emancipator. Do you know what the great emancipator actually said? Do you know your history? Have you actually read Lincoln? Read the debate between Stephen Douglas and Abraham Lincoln, and you'll come away with a different perspective of Abraham Lincoln. So you don't have to trust a history book or anything. Just look at what Lincoln said with his own words on what he thought about the black man and the superiority of the white race. He's a tyrant. Lincoln was one of the worst tyrants in American history. All right, let's see a couple more seconds of this guy.
So no, I think as a father, I know exactly where the fuck I stand, and this is pathetic. So, love to everybody in Nashville.
Love to everybody except the conservatives who think that the Second Amendment is important. Lala Doodle said, these laws protect criminals from their victims. Exactly. That's what laws do. The criminals in government protect the criminals out on the street by making laws that disempower the regular people, the law abiders, and empower the criminals. That's why I call gun-free zones a victim creation, criminal empowerment, fish in a barrel zone. That's what it is. Listen to Corinne Jean-Pierre Virtue Signal about, we got to do something. Children haven't, never mind.
How many more children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress will step up and act to pass the assault weapons ban.
How about this? How about this right here? Since this is all happening in these public and mostly public schools, it's happening in. How about this? How many more have to die? When is enough enough? When is it going to come a time where we dissolve the Department of Education? These are the most dangerous places on the planet for our kids to be, and we still have them open, and we still have them as gun-free zones. When are we going to do this? Because I'll tell you this, it's more the gun-free zone's fault. It's more the public school's fault. It's more the policymakers' fault than it is any gun. It could never be an inanimate object's fault. Inanimate object violence. That's what they should call it. Inanimate object control. And I hate to just beat a dead horse, but more gun laws won't prevent violence. Current laws are ineffective. Criminals don't obey laws, create more victims, and violence doesn't always include guns. Check this out right here. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Well, no blank. We want mandatory safety courses for people, not guns. Mandatory. What does that mean? We're going to force you to do it. Well, what if I don't want to do it? Or we're going to force you to do it. What if I continue to resist doing it? Well, we're going to pull out our government issued gun and we're going to make you do it, boy. So what is this person calling for when he's calling for an end to gun violence or gun control laws? He's calling for the barrel of a government gun pointed at you if you don't comply and submit to the mandate. They are totally for government gun violence as long as it's initiated by a government that they will even admit that they don't trust. I was out there at that March Against Our Lives called March for Our Lives. And I asked tons of people, do you trust government? No, I don't trust government. And especially that government because it was Donald Trump's government. So they definitely said they didn't trust government. And then ask a couple questions, then come back around. Who do you want to, because they're calling for gun control. Who do you want to control the guns? Because you're calling for gun control. So obviously you want somebody to control the guns. Who do you want to control the guns? And they had to stop because they recollected just a couple minutes ago. I just asked them, do you trust the government? So now they can't say the government because they just said they don't trust it. So if they say, oh, I want the government who I don't trust to control all the guns. Oh my God, that doesn't make any sense. That makes me look really bad. People aren't thinking this through. If you don't have guns, then there's only three classes of people that will have them. The government class, the politician class, the law enforcement class, and this regular street thug criminal class. You won't have them because you decided to go and obey the laws. We want more thorough background checks of people, not guns. Yeah, well, what if I don't want my background checked? What if I think it is a cockamamie idea to have criminals? It's like being in 1930 Chicago and saying, oh, I need a criminal background check done on me by Al Capone. Al Capone is light years ahead of criminality than I could ever be or even hope to be or think in my mind to be. So now I want government, which is far more dastardly and nefarious than Al Capone's government. I'm going to have a criminal cartel run a background check on me and then approve me or not approve me for a personal protection device when I have the perfect right to have one anyway. Not just under the Constitution, but under natural law. We want stricter negligence penalties imposed on people, not guns. Negligence in whose mind? This is all subjective. If you're stupid enough to think activists are pissed at guns, you're too stupid to own one. Oh no, they're pissed at guns. They do believe that guns cause crime. They do believe guns are the problem. I've asked plenty of people. And then they say, we need to ban assault weapons. Okay, could you define what delineates between a regular, like just a Glock 22 40 caliber handgun and an assault weapon? What makes this weapon over here, this long weapon, what makes that an assault weapon? Because it can, every time you pull the trigger, it releases a bullet. Well, every time I pull the trigger on my Glock, it releases a bullet. So is that an assault weapon? No, handguns aren't assault weapons. Long rifles is because they're black and scary. And then you ask them what the difference between an AR-15 and a Ruger Mini 14 is. They don't know. They never heard of a Ruger Mini 14. If they saw it though, they'd be okay because that's just a hunting rifle. It's got a brown stock and it doesn't have that big magazine. They call it clips, but it doesn't have that big magazine hanging off of it. They don't even know what they're talking about. They're calling for sanctions against you. They're calling for a curtailment of your freedoms. They're calling for an infringement of your rights. They're calling for you to be criminalized, and they don't even know what the heck they're talking about. It's like Sheila Jackson Lee going, I don't know if you've ever held an AR-15 before, but I have, and it's as heavy as 10 boxes you might carry. And then she's the coup de grace what that is, and it fires a 50 caliber round. It has 50 caliber clips. First of all, it doesn't have a clip, and it doesn't. Try shoving a 50 caliber round in a 223 or 556 chamber. See where that'll get you, buddy. Sheila Jackson, I want to see you try it. The thing literally unloaded weighs 5.5 to 5.75 pounds. But it's as heavy as 10 boxes you can carry. This is a legislator making laws to deprive you and I of personal protection devices, and she doesn't even know the first thing about the law, the gun she wants to outlaw. It's hilarious, man. It's so hilarious. Let's see. I haven't seen this one. Let's see. KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre on Nashville school shooting. We need to do something. Once again, the president calls on Congress to do something. How about, sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. Sometimes the best thing to do is just let freedom ring. Dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. I hate that people are dying, but the last thing you want to do is penalize innocent people who had nothing to do with those people dying. Got to do something before another child is senselessly killed in a preventable act. Do you think the government cares about children? Did the government care about the Iraqi children? Did the government care about the children in Afghanistan? Does the government care about third world country children when they're dropping? How many bombs did Barack Obama drop? How many did George W. drop? How many did Trump drop? How many has Biden already dropped? They're dropping bombs on innocent people in their households trying to eat dinner at night, and those include children. How many children did we decimate in Vietnam? How about the Korean War? How about World War I? How about World War II? How many? And these people really, they care about children? The government, the U.S. government, the U.S. military industrial complex led government cares about your children and my children? What a joke, man.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. So we're seeing the heartbreaking news of another shooting of innocent school children, this time in Nashville, Tennessee. The president has been briefed on this situation, and our team is in contact with DOJ and local officials about what is known so far. We want to express the president's appreciation for the first responders and prayers for all the families affected by this shooting. While we don't know yet all the details in this latest tragic shooting, we know that too often our schools and communities are being devastated by gun violence.
That is a misnomer and a lie. No place anywhere ever has been devastated by gun violence. Because no place anywhere ever has been devastated by inanimate object violence. There's no such thing as inanimate object violence. It'd be like, what are these earpods? We have to stop earpod violence. We have to stop cell phone violence. We've got to stop 360 camera violence. We have to stop computer mouse violence. There is no such thing as computer mouse. It's as much of a fact that there is computer mouse violence as there is gun violence, as there is inanimate object violence. This gun violence stuff is euphemistic so that it can disarm the minds of people so they can start fearing inanimate objects, irrationally fearing inanimate objects. That's why I say politics is the clever and deceptive art of using euphemisms. First and foremost, they gotta dumb down the language. They gotta change words so it doesn't sound so bad, or in some cases sound really bad. Like what do they call mass murder? What's that word? Oh, that's right. They call it war. But it's legalized. War is legalized, federally sanctioned mass murder, but they call it war. It makes it not sound so bad. But this right here, they're trying to make it sound really bad so they can gin up the works and get people freaked out. It's oh my God, the most horrible epidemic for children in the United States isn't vehicular, vehicle wrecks. It's not overdoses. It's not molestations. It's gun violence. Gun violence doesn't exist. Gun violence can only exist if inanimate object violence exists. There's been a spate of water bottle violence in Nashville, Tennessee today. And we've got to talk to our legislators about banning fully automatic water bottles.
Schools should be safe spaces for our kids to grow and learn, and for
schools are not safe spaces for kids to grow. They're not safe spaces for their minds. They're obviously not safe spaces for their bodies. They're not safe spaces for their souls. They're indoctrination camps where they're teaching you things they shouldn't be teaching you and not teaching you things that they should be teaching you. Does your school teach you how to balance your budget? Does your school teach you about the inception of the Federal Reserve and what they actually did to the money supply and who the actual criminals are? Did your school teach you that the biggest offender of human rights on the planet at this moment in time is the United States government led by the United States military industrial complex? Did they teach you that in school? No, they didn't teach you that in school. They taught you what they wanted to teach you in school. And now they're trying to get you to believe that you're something that you're not and that you don't have to use certain pronouns and you got to use other. People get offended if you don't use the right pronouns.
our educators to teach. As you all know, President Biden has taken more action than any president in history on gun safety.
That's another thing. They stopped calling it gun control. Oh, they still do. It's interchangeable. It's however the wind blows that day. But they don't want to use gun control because it sounds too much like control. It sounds too much like control. So then they say gun safety regulations, because then you look like a bad person if you're against guns. You are against gun safety. What kind of monster are you? It's like, no, here's why I'm against gun safety regulations. Because gun safety regulations is just a euphemism on the euphemism of gun control or gun violence, which is a euphemism on the euphemism of gun control, which is really human control. And I'm against controlling humans against their will and without their consent. Human control is what gun safety regulations really is.
Nearly two dozen actions, including the executive order he just signed last month.
An executive order is a unilateral edict from one man bypassing Congress, bypassing the legislature, bypassing the judiciary, and taking the executive branch and going, there, we got a law, didn't even have to unquestioned. We're going to make an executive order. Boom, that's the law of the land. There we go. That's called, there's a word for that. It's called tyranny. It's called abject tyranny. And that's why the signers signed the Declaration of Independence against King George.
Or this month, pardon me, to the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act legislation he signed into law after the tragedies in Uvalde and Buffalo. He also believed it's not enough. We must do more. And he wants Congress to act, because enough is enough.
Congress must act. We must do something. Enough is enough. How many children have to die if we could just save one? All these little catchy catchphrases. And then people out on the street start parroting it. Then you hear on the street, you know what? Enough is enough. Man, you know what? Enough children have died. We've got to do something. And it's like, oh my gosh, the programming is complete. The propaganda, the planes don't even have to drop the flyers anymore. The propaganda is so complete on social media and fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird MK Ultra media. You don't need planes dropping flyers. They're just going to parrot everything Corinne Jean-Pierre and Joe Biden and Jakey the Snake Tapper and Anderson Cooper say.
In his State of the Union, the president called on Congress to do something to stop the epidemic of gun violence, tearing families apart, tearing communities apart.
The government doesn't want families torn apart, guys. They want families to remain intact. They want the father as the head of the household. They want the mother not to be working, but to teach. No, that's not what the government wants. The government wants the family unit completely obliterated. They want it obliterated through the indoctrination program of public schools. They want it obliterated through the government mouthpiece, which is fake stream media, pumping out lies, telling little boys and girls, well, if you feel this certain way, then you can go to this clinic and you can have these horrible things done to you by all these doctors who really want to make a whole lot of money. They don't put it that way. They don't want the family unit as one cohesive operating unit under truth and rights and I almost said law. You don't want to be operating under the law. And honesty and integrity and wholeness. They want to split. That's what the drug war was all about. They want to split up the family. They want to make sure the father goes to prison and those kids are raised without a father. You see what's happened since 1971 when they introduced the drug war? You see what has happened to the fabric of America? It's been torn asunder.
How many more children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress will step up and act to pass the assault weapons ban, to close loopholes in our background check system, or to require the safe storage of guns?
Even that, requiring the safe store. What if I don't want to store my gun safely? What if I want one in every room? What if I want to train my kids when they're 5, 6, 7 years old? You got to be real careful what you say. What if somebody somewhere happened to train their children to know how to operate it, that personal protection device, know how to load it, know how to tear it apart, know how to clean it, know how to put it together, and safekeeping? What if they had a genuine respect for that object? Knowing how to use it. I know some kids somewhere who were pretty proficient at even long rifles when they were very, very young. I personally know who those kids are. It doesn't have to be this scary, enigmatic thing. And again, if you have the family unit that is together through thick and thin, they got your back, you got their back. There ain't nothing that family can't accomplish, but the government does not want that kind of family unit. They don't want that kind of strength. They don't want a family of critical thinkers asking questions and not buying the lamestream official story garbage.
We need to do something. Once again, the president calls on Congress to...
And what is it that we should do? Let's see. Politicians, please save us. Oh my gosh, the climate is going to hell in a handbasket. What's the answer? Politicians, of course. Politicians will save us. They'll free us. Oh, we have mass school shootings and we have dangerous streets and we have cities burning down. What should we do? We should run to our Lord and Savior, the politicians, so that they can scribble fancy words on parchment, on fancy pieces of paper. And by the end of it, the law is this big and it's got all this pork barrel spending right there so they can spend more of your income while they're taking more of your rights away. That's the solution to our problem. Government is a religious cult.
Do something before another child is senselessly killed in a preventable act of gun violence.
You mean like at Waco? How many people were killed at Waco? 76. How many of those children? 20. What happened to them? Oh, the government burned them alive. The U.S. government burned them alive. The government is a disease masquerading as its own cure, and that's the way it's always been. And I don't like democracy because I want nothing to do with the system which operates on the premise that my rights don't exist simply because I'm outnumbered. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing with gun control, gun safety regulations, assault weapons bans. They're criminalizing innocent people. And how do they enforce? Just to bring this back around, and then I'll read some of your posts here. How are they going to enforce the assault weapons ban? How are they going to enforce, keeping guns safe or mandatory gun classes, gun safety class? How are they going to enforce that? They're going to enforce it with the barrel of a government gun. They're going to use gun violence against you to make you do something that you don't want to do. So they're saying, hey, you know how we solve gun violence? Government sanctioned, taxpayer funded gun violence. 0 cents. Zero morality. Zero integrity. 100% emotion, though. Yeah, that's Alan Dula says, how many children suffered at the hands of planned torment via Child Protective Services? You look at, there are mainstream articles that have blown the whistle on CPS, and I saw a number. I don't know if it's true, but I saw a number coming out of a mainstream source. I can't remember the news publication that did it, and it's been years ago since I've done a video on it. 85%, they said, 85% of children who go through CPS are bad things happen to them. Let's just put it that way in this live stream. Bad things happen to them. Let's see. Let's not forget Kent State National Guard shooting college students. Exactly, Clownzilla. Yep, exactly. Yep. Another CG says enforced by a gun. Yeah, but they're comfortable because it's their gun. They don't want it to be your gun, as long as it's the gun in their possession. I like what Clint Eastwood said. I'm for gun control, as long as I'm the one in control of the gun. I'm totally for gun control. They don't care about the children. They care about what they can get from the tragic event, says Ray Riddle. Amen. Amen. Let's see what else we got here. Blue status monster, bad red status. Oh yeah, blue status monster bad, says Satoshi James. Red status monster good. Yeah, good comments. How many children are killed? Oh, there you go, Bill. Bill Wojo, you can't say that, Bill. Oh, Bill said the no-no right there. You see that, what Bill said? Let's see. Let me see if I can highlight it on the screen here. Oop, almost. Look at that. Bill says, how many children are killed at Planned Parenthood? Yep, that's a good question. Country Prepper 19 says door to door will never happen because as soon as word got out, that would be the start of war here. I tell you this, I hope it doesn't go like it went in Canada. And remember Australia? Oh my gosh. How many? Put a 1 in the room. And seriously, just make sure you're from Australia. If you're from Australia, put a 1 in the room. And it's not about gun violence. Like overall, gun violence, the misnomer. Overall violence goes up when you take guns away from peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. How is that grandma going to defend herself? She can't afford to go get the registration and the license and the schooling that you have, the mandatory schooling, and then be investigated by the cops to make sure it's been put up safe. So when the grandbabies come around, nobody's got time for that. Nobody's got the money for that. That's why guns are so high in price, because they make them illegal. And you want the best gun salesman that you could ever have? Corinne Jean-Pierre just became that right now. Joe Biden, anytime they talk about assault weapons bans, guess what starts flying off the shelf? Scary assault weapons. Look up the tweet you just sent me. Did you send it on message? I don't know where would I look that up? Rock that like button, says Aaron. How many likes do we have? Oh, 338 likes. That's all. Can we get up to 400 likes? If you like the content. Don't like it if you don't like the content. VICRIV Productions says, I listen to Hollywood actors all the time, and every time I do, I get dumber. me and Trish, we try to watch movies, but it's like, who wrote this? And are the actors really that bad? Or are we just waking up to the fact that all this just sucks? And what's this narrative they're trying to weave throughout this whole thing? Yeah, put a 1 in the room if you're from Australia and you're in the room right now. I associated as an Australian today, LOL. I want to move to Australia. I wanted to move to Australia. I would not want to live in a place where you cannot have arms. I do not want to live in that. I do not want to depend on the government to keep me safe. Cinema has long been dead, says Humble. I don't watch TV. Yeah, TV, it's just a waste of time, man. You can master a language or get good on an instrument or a couple instruments or help people out. Hey, you know what I want to do? Man, this whole thing, have you guys been keeping tabs on what's going on in Mississippi? guys, I'm not an organizer, so I don't really know how to do this kind of stuff, but wouldn't it be cool if a bunch of us got together, if we could pool resources? I mean, I've got supposedly 500 and something thousand people on this channel. What if we could go there? You know what the population of, what was it called? What's the name of that place in Mississippi? Yeah, Rolling Fork, Mississippi. If you haven't heard, they got devastated by an F5 tornado the other night. The population of Rolling Fork, last I looked, and this is pretty crazy, 1776. The place has 1,776. And I'm going to let's go to images. Look at some of this devastation. Look at this before and after right here. Let's see. Here's a before. Shoot. Something I got to get the internet guys out here and get this internet fixed. Okay, so there's a before picture. This is Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Here's the after picture. Before, after. I mean, you should see the drone shots. If you haven't seen the drone shots, it's pretty startling. They got wiped off the map, man. Just like in Joplin, Missouri a couple years ago. Let's see. Mississippi devastation. So what I was saying was I want to do something for these people because, man, if this happened to me, I'd want somebody to like rally around me and support me and at least let me know that I'm not alone, you know. And we're talking about people have lost everything. If you had everything in your house or in a storage shed in your community, they lost everything. What is going on with my stupid internet? Oh man, I'll tell you what, this has been driving me crazy for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks now. So what can we do? What can we do? Looking Glass says it was horrible. Here, I'm going to turn the music down. Sorry for the graininess, man. It's because this video hasn't completely rendered on my internet's. Oh my gosh, it's supposed to be high-speed internet.
This is Rolling Fork, Mississippi, and this is less than 24 hours since this massive tornado came in. And I just want to give you all a first perspective as to what I am seeing here on the ground. You can see, look at this vehicle here, the entire top smashed down by the force, and look at that, all smashed in.
They were talking winds in excess of 261 to 313 miles per hour. Can you imagine sustained 100 mile or a 150 mile an hour winds, but double that? I have been near a tornado and I know what they sound like, but I've never been in a tornado. When I lived in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, just right outside of Nashville, coincidentally, I heard the storm, and it was really weird because where I was, it got calm. Birds were not singing. There was no wind blowing. Not one leaf on the tree was moving, but you could hear it it sounded like a freight train in the distance. And you could hear stuff like twisting, like trees twisting or metal twisting or something. But it is unmistakable. How many of you guys in the chat room have actually been in a tornado? And how devastating was the tornado? Was it an F1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, and now they're saying, oh, this is climate change. We got to give the politicians piles of money so that this can stop. Well, what about the weather modification techniques? What about all that stuff going on? This isn't the video. I wanted to go to the video where they actually had drone footage. Yeah, here we go. Here's the drone footage. This is from The Guardian, though. I wanted to go to that one guy's page where the guy actually did it himself. 300 mile per hour wind. That's unbelievable. I live in Florida and our hurricanes aren't even that high. Sure seems like artificial manipulation to me. It may be. It may be. Artificial or not, these people are hurting for certain, man. Brick homes solve that? No, they don't. No, they don't. Matter of fact, when I lived in Murfreesboro, Brentwood got hit by a tornado. Really nice subdivision with really nice big brick homes. Erased them off the map. I don't even think they were doing the F5. This is back in 1997 or 8. So what can we do to help? Look at this. Look at this neighborhood. Look at this neighborhood. Look at that. These were houses right here, guys. There's just nothing but a pile of sticks. I'm surprised when this kind of stuff happens that more people don't die. The tornado at its base was over 2 miles wide. It was going 70 miles an hour according to these people. Let me play this back right here. According to the meteorologist, it was moving 70 miles per hour. It was rotating 263 to 313 miles per hour, and it was 2 miles wide at its base. I wish there's another drone shot where it actually showed the pathway of the tornado. The guy with the drone really knew what he was doing. Let's see. Oh man, I wish I could just pull up that guy's video. This might be it. So what can we do? We have potentially 500,000 people that could jump in and help support these people. How do we do it? What do we do? If there's an organizer out there and you guys can do it, I can be the point person or whatever, and we can funnel money, food, we can buy supplies so that they can have temporary housing. I'm sure there's tons of people involved in this, helping these people out, but more people couldn't hurt. I'm game. I could hit the road and meet with some people, and we could help people, help put their lives back together. It's not going to be what they had, but it's going to be better than what they got right now. So if you guys have ideas on what we can do, let's see, where do you even go for safety when something like that's coming? It rips bricks apart, metal is crushed. We have hurricane shelters in Florida, but what could protect you? Oh, the reason they didn't have hurricane or tornado shelters here because of, I guess, the elevation and they don't build basements in this area because of flooding. So there was limited places for these people to go. Looking up tornado. Sent me a tweet. It should be on my recent tweet. A tweet under my recent tweet, which would be this one right here. I don't know. What name am I looking up? America gets earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, floods, landslides, volcanoes. What's up, D's nuts? It's so funny to say that. I don't want to not do something. I want to do something. Got to do something, but I want to do something positive. I want it to be organized. I want it to be directed. I don't want it to be chaotic. I want to make sure that every cent that's given to whatever goes exactly to where it's supposed to go. I want accountability, redundancies built in. We don't build basements because of Mississippi clay. I'm sure they need water. I'm sure they need food. I saw Samaritan's Purse was heading down there. I don't know what I don't know which one you're talking about. Whoever said they sent me a tweet. North Star. I don't know what name I'm looking it up for. I don't know. Unless it's a direct message, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to waste anybody's time here looking for a tweet. Send water. Hey, that's another thing. The Delaware River has been poisoned in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia with that latex spill in the Delaware River. And the officials are assuring people that, hey, it's okay. Drinking the tap water is A-okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I believe you. Cloud seeding ban too, right? Bear Independent is gathering people. Oh, he is? Bear Independent. Let's see. Let's see. Is Bear Independent in here? No. Bear Independent is gathering people there. I'm game, man. Let's see. How far away am I from... Let me see how far away I am from Rolling Fork. If I can even open up my mapping software here. Oh man, I'm telling you guys, slow internet really gets under my skin, especially when it doesn't have to be slow. Rolling Fork, Mississippi. How far away is that from me? I would guess it's probably about 850 miles away from me. Yeah, probably 850. Let's see. Directions. I should have already had this 5 minutes ago. Where is Rolling Fork from me? And maybe you guys can do the same. Find out how far Rolling Fork is from you. Wouldn't that be cool if we had like a team of... I know I'm shooting for... Oh, it's only 393... Oh, 402. 402 miles? Wow, that's not very far. It's going to take me 6 hours and 25 minutes to get there if I left. Wouldn't that be great if we had a team of like, I don't know, 50 people helping those people out? It's like, hey, where do you need us? What can we do? I don't know where it is, North Star. I just don't want to consume people's times. If you didn't send me a direct message, I don't want to be looking for it. No, the Delaware River. The Delaware River. It's this one right here. Philadelphia water. What we know and don't know after the Delaware latex spill. They initially said it was 8,100 gallons, and then it went up to 11,000 gallons. Who knows how much toxic mess went into the Delaware River? City of Philadelphia sent its 1.5 million residents into a mad dash for bottled water after issuing and retracting a tap water advisory on Sunday. The cause is the chemical spill from a Bucks County latex finishing plant into the Delaware River tributary that feeds in the Philadelphia water processing facility. So it's not this thing that happened in Ohio with the train derailment. This one right here happened in Philly. High impact support. That's great. North Dakota just had a train derailment spilling hazardous materials. Really? When was that, Gail? What's up, Gail? Let's see. Oh man, I'm at an hour and 7 minutes. I wanted to stop this before an hour. Nobody's going to watch this live stream later. Well, if you guys come up with something, Bear Independent. Let's see. Let me see. We don't know each other. I've subscribed to him. Oh, look at that. I'm unsubscribed from him. I'm going to subscribe back. Rolling Fork, Mississippi tornadoes day 1. Does he live near there? Rolling Fork, Mississippi tornadoes recon. Maybe, next time I have a live stream, it's going to be way smoother than this, guys. Look at this. I have high speed freaking fiber optic. I'm just not happy. Just not happy. He's only got 10,000. He should have more than 10,000 views. This is ridiculous. Man's out there helping
Is it what?
people.
Gaggle of radios.
A gaggle of radios.
Let me see what they're doing. I don't know if it's not planned. So if anybody can hook up with Bear Independent or know anybody who else is, Oklahoma. He's in Oklahoma. He's in my state. Where is he in Oklahoma? Yeah, I'm not down with all the religious stuff, but I mean, he seems like a good dude. I wouldn't have any problem working side by side with them, clearing stuff, giving away food. He's pro-gun. He's pro-family. That's all I need. We pay for the best internet plan available, and it takes 5 minutes to receive an email I send to myself. That is, man, what part of Oklahoma is Bear Independent in? Does anybody know? You have to reset your modem. I've done it. I've done all that. I've done the reset the modem, reset the router. It just doesn't. Not only that, I'm not even on the router. I'm on a Cat 6 Ethernet cable. What are you going to do when the lights go out and no internet? I guess I'll be doing what everybody else does. I'll be using my handy dandy flashlight that recharges with the sun. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. If you guys come up with my contact information is contact@highimpactflix.com. Don't forget, I have a backup channel called Here's the Deal. This is my police accountability channel. Don't get mad at me, guys. Don't get mad at me for exposing tyrants. That's what this is called. It's Here's the Deal. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the comment section here. Here's the link. If you guys want to support the channel, you notice this is demonetized. There's no way you can give me a super chat because I've been demonetized, since May 2018. So if you want to support the channel, my Cash App and Buy Me a Coffee and Subscribe Star is in the description if you think this content is worth it. But if you come up with ideas on what we can do to help the people of Rolling Fork, Mississippi, and you want to, contribute to that effort or whatever, contact@highimpactflix.com. I'll try to look at my emails in the next couple hours. I am pretty bad about answering and responding to emails because I just get so many of them. But if you can find, if you're a coordinator, if you're an organizer, if you know how to do this kind of stuff, that'd be awesome. If you need me to tap into this great audience if you guys, let me just put it this way. If you're interested in being a part of helping people in Rolling Fork, Mississippi recover from the tornado they just got slammed with the other night, put a 1 in the room. I don't want to assume, maybe people don't want to help and, that's fine. No judgment. But if you want to help, put a 1 in the room because I don't want to assume that people want to help if they don't. Let's see. Bear Nation, is that what he's calling them? How many people does Bear Independent have in Mississippi helping people right now? If your internet runs fast for a while, when you first reset the modem, then the problem is, as I said, disable your sleep mode on the PC and reset modem anytime you reboot after sleep or shut down. Yeah, I've done that too. I've done all that stuff. It's on all my devices. If I'm on my phone or whatever, they're all super slow. No, I get it. Yeah, some people are just not in a position to help others. If I can utilize my platform to help people, that's what life's all freaking about, man. Look up S686 Restrict Act. Haven't I done a video on that? Oh my gosh, the slowness is killing me. I'm used to instant. Look at that. Look at that. Guys, look at it. I've not looked up 686 and somebody said, North Star said, look up S686. It's the first thing that comes up. Restrict Act. I'll have to read over this later. I can't imagine. Can you imagine? And this thing happened like at night, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. It's pitch black outside. Tornadoes are bad. Tornadoes in the darkness are double bad. You don't know where to go. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know where it's headed. You don't know what's twirling in the air ready to hit you in the head. Even during the day, it's hard because it gets, it gets pretty messy. But Where was I going with that? Oh, can you imagine going to bed at night and then waking up, going into the some storm shelter, and then coming back to your neighborhood and your house and everything that you had, your cars, all your possessions, everything that you used to get by in life, all the food that you had in your cabinets, all your refrigerator's gone, everything is gone. Everything is gone. Your life outside of your life, everything outside of your life, everything outside of you has been completely obliterated and decimated, hanging up in trees, blown 2, 3, 4, 5 miles away, stuck in trees. I can't even imagine that happening. Can't even imagine that. Yeah, tornado in the middle of the night. It's just, wow. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here again. Subscribe to me on my Here's the Deal channel. If you want to support links are in the description. Thank you for joining. The bottom line to this gun thing is anytime somebody calls for gun control, they're calling for human control. They're calling for people control. And the thing they want to control the people is the government. So they want government sanctioned, taxpayer funded gun violence to come on people who haven't harmed anybody or threatened anybody. That's just downright evil. I will see you guys. Please make sure you're subscribed to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'll keep the live stream open. If you guys want to chat among yourselves, I'll keep it open for 10 minutes. Take care. Remember, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people have and will secure their own oppression. See you in the next one.